Hey guys, it's me, the guy who made... Holy fuck! Seems like you guys really liked when I made a Geometry Dash video for an English project. So... let's do it again! However, I'm going to keep things a little more basic this time around. So instead of using the worst GDPS like I did last time, I'm going to be sticking to the main servers this time around. If you read the title already, the project this time around is on comparing and contrasting. And I think I have an idea on how to do it. Let me explain. Again. If you remember in my last video, I mentioned how in the last 10 years, Geometry Dash has changed a lot in terms of visuals. Well, that's not the only way it's changed. In the last 10 years, it has also changed a substantial amount in the terms of difficulty. Challenging Geometry Dash levels have existed since the game's creation. I mean, look at some of the oldest hard levels, like Ice Carbon Diablo X and Silent Club. I mean, just look at them. However, these old, difficult levels usually suffered from two different problems. Besides the fact that their gameplay was, well, for the lack of a better word, awful, most of them were also hacked. So, that's great. But once the game was released on Steam, and people had the ability to record the game using software such as OBS, the community has done everything in their power to push difficulty to the max. Here's a few examples of it.
Fight the group in circles! What?! What?! I just beat Avernus right now! I'm not even lying.
So, for my comparing and contrasting project, let's compare two of Geometry Dash's most famous top 1 levels. Let's compare Bloodbath to Tartarus. So, I'm going to assume that you have no idea what anything I just said meant. Don't worry, by the time we're done here, hopefully, you'll have a good understanding of what both levels are and some of the differences between the two. Before we actually do start though, we need to do one more thing, and that is to set up a Venn diagram. We'll come back to it at the end of the video and see how it looks, but for now, we can get into the first level. So, Bloodbath. Even if you've only played this game for a short amount of time, odds are you've heard this level mentioned at least once. I mean, it's the 6th most downloaded and the 8th most liked level in the entire game. So, how the hell did that happen? Well, we'll get to that point, but first, let's look at some basics. Bloodbath clocks in at a level length of around 1 minute and 52 seconds. It has 24,746 objects. Its song is At the Speed of Light by DimRain47. Its level ID is this, I'm not going to bother saying the whole string, and it was made in the 1.9 update and was specifically released on August 12, 2015. The level was hosted, verified, and uploaded all by the exact same person, Riot. Keep this guy in the back of your mind because we'll be coming back to him later when we talk about Tartarus. Riot's initial goal when creating Bloodbath was to create a level harder than Ice Carbon Diablo X. Yeah, this sack of crap from earlier. So in order to do that, with the amount of influence Riot had at the time, he gathered a team of Geometry Dash's most talented and well-respected creators in order to create the most brutally hard level possible. The order of the parts are as follows: Wio Wio Tio, Vermilion, Michigan, Evasium, Crack, A Sonicman, Etzer, Havoc, Giron, and G-Boy. After the level is finished, Riot would then spend over 25,000 attempts attempting to verify it, until...
Oh my god!
he beat it. Immediately after Bloodbath was verified, it was instantly deemed as the hardest level in the entire game, and players instantly wanted to try and claim the title of being the first person to beat it. That title would end up going to Quasar, who beat it on the 9th of March of 2016 after over 28,000 attempts. 8 years after the level's release, it has now received over 1,000 victors. I'm even proud to say that I'm one of them. Yes! Yes! I did it! What else is there to say about Bloodbath? Well, I can think of two things. One of which is that this level is a part of a series known as the Apocalyptic Trilogy, a set of 3 levels that all follow the same sort of hell style. The first level in the series is called Cataclysm, the second level is our level Bloodbath, and the third level is called Aftermath. And we don't talk about Aftermath because that level sucks. Fuck! The other thing that I want to say about Bloodbath is that it has been remade multiple times. Some people who are a little more experienced with the game may have heard of the level Bloodlust. To sum it up quickly, it's basically a much harder and also extended version of Bloodbath that also had its decoration updated to accommodate to the 2018 era of the game. But that's not the only remake there is. There's also Bath by Panuto and more, as well as Legacy by Cairo X, and there's probably also others that I'm just completely forgetting. And I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about regarding Bloodbath at the moment. There will be some other things that I mention about the level once we reach the contrasting comparing segment, but for the moment, we can move on to the second level in this video.
Come on.
Oh boy, where do I even start with Tartarus? Well, I guess to start, we've just gone from levels being, oh, this level's, it's pretty challenging, to holy mother of balls, this is hard. Tartarus is the level that has stood as the hardest level in the game for the longest amount of time, at 17 months! During this time frame, the community would go genuinely bonkers, doing everything in their power to knock Tartarus off the top spot. And they would do that, only 29 times over. Some of the levels that have surpassed Tartarus are actually really good levels, while some of them are some of the worst things in the entire game. But I'm getting a little carried away. I should have started things off simple. The basics. Tartarus has a length of 1 minute and 35 seconds with an object count of 43,361 objects. The song is Clubstep. This is the level ID, once again I'm not going to be reading that, and it was released in the 2.1 update, more specifically on January 6, 2020. While the level was hosted by the same person, Riot, this level was both verified and uploaded by a different player known as Dolphy instead. The order of the parts are Vermilion, Aquatius plus Riot, Comp, N-Level plus Cyclic, Salaxium, Azular, Heinz, Aurorus, Salaxium again, Comp again, and Salaxium one last time. Once the level was finished, Riot faked a completion of it, but then allowed the level as an open verification, meaning anyone could be the verifier of it, and it's anybody's game. Dolphy would end up being the one verifying it after 61,746 attempts.
Да! Я прошел! Я прошел! Я прошел Tartarus!
However, once Dolphy's video came out, a lot of people began to question, did Dolphy do this legitimately? You see, back in 2020, Dolphy was nowhere near as well known as he is today. Currently, Dolphy has over 400,000 subscribers, and is one of the top GD players and content creators on the Russian side of the GD community. But in 2020, Dolphy was not as well regarded. It also didn't help that the Russian side of the community back then was notorious for hackers trying to fake their completions. So as soon as Dolphy uploaded his completion of Tartarus, the legitimacy of his completion was brought into question. Riot and N-Level would upload a video to YouTube, supposedly exposing Dolphy for cheating Tartarus, but the video has long since been deleted, due to many people proving that the accusations were false. The drama continued with not a whole lot happening until February 9th, 2020, where Molzy, another player in the Tartarus Open verification race, beat Tartarus as well. The following day, Molzy's version of Tartarus was raided, and with the Dolphy drama, not much happened. People started to begin to realize that maybe we were wrong about this whole entire thing. They basically had just accused Dolphy of cheating, were proven wrong, and now because of that, Dolphy was robbed of his verification. However, to the credit of Molzy, after most of the community agreed that Dolphy had in fact verified Tartarus, Molzy asked that his version of Tartarus be unrated, and Dolphy's version be rated instead. On February 18th, 2020, this change would occur, and Dolphy's version of Tartarus was raided, effectively ending the drama and making Dolphy the official verifier of Tartarus. After the drama had cleared, Molesey was awarded as being the first victor of Tartarus, and since then, the level has now grown to 164 victors. Still, a large amount of victors, but nowhere near the over 1,000 victors that Bloodbath has. One more thing that we should mention about Tartarus, at least for the moment, is that Tartarus does have a successor level like Bloodbath. Bloodbath has Aftermath. In Tartarus's case, that level is Acheron. Acheron is the current second hardest level in the entire game, and it follows the same sort of block design that is in Tartarus. However, the level uses a completely different song, and it also follows a different color scheme, using gray and black instead of the red and black prevalent in Tartarus. And that's pretty much everything regarding Tartarus. I say pretty much because there is one more thing that I do need to talk about, and while I could delay it by rambling on about random facts such as Tartarus being the first extreme rated in 2020, the truth of it is, the last thing I want to talk about I'm going to save for the very end. So in the meantime, let's get into the meat and the bones of this video, the comparing and contrasting itself. So, when it comes to comparing and contrasting for this project, I think it's better off to start off with actually the differences instead of talking about the things that these two levels share in common. Mainly because the differences are much shorter and there's not too many of them, so we can knock them out really quick and then get onto the similarities, which probably will need a little bit more explaining. So, let's see how quickly we can get through this. These levels have differences in the following: song, verifier, uploader, release date, update version, verification attempt count, victor count, level length, object count, level ID, and the person who was the first to successfully beat it. I know I just threw a lot at you all at the same time, but I mean, these are things that you can pretty much just look at and tell that they're different right off the bat, so I don't really think I need to explain them that much. Things that Bloodbath has going for it exclusively are the fact that it is in the top 10 most downloaded levels in the game, has multiple remakes, and is a part of the Apocalyptic Trilogy, all of which Tartarus does not have or is not a part of. Meanwhile, Tartarus exclusively has the fact that it is the longest standing top 1 in the game, as well as the entire drama regarding its verification. I also haven't even mentioned where the levels currently stand in terms of difficulty. Tartarus currently stands as the 30th hardest level in the game. Meanwhile, Bloodbath sits at 372, which is way off of the top 1 spot. With that mentioned, we can now move on to similarities. To start, both levels at one point were the hardest level in the game, and both levels are extreme demons. This surprises nobody! Other similarities that we mentioned are that both levels were hosted by Riot, as well as both levels having some form of successor level. Another thing that we kind of touched on, but not really specifically, is that both levels are mega collabs. This means that both levels had at least 5 people working on the level, and considering that Bloodbath had 11 people and Tartarus had 10, they both easily fit into that category. Another thing you may have noticed is that while I was listing all of the people who worked on these projects, the same person popped up twice, and I'm not talking about Riot, I'm talking about Vermilion. Here's their part in Bloodbath, and here's their part in Tartarus. And while they do look somewhat similar, if you couldn't tell that they were the same guy, the big signature V at the beginning of both parts is a good indicator that it is theirs. Another kinda dumb and silly similarity that both levels have is that both levels were at one point the weekly demon on April Fools. The Weekly Demon, a level set at the beginning of each week, usually easy or medium demon difficulty, that players can beat for some extra rewards. However, on April Fool's Day of 2019 and 2021 respectively, Bloodbath and Tartarus were set as the Weekly Demon, and it served no practical purpose, but it's April Fool's, so who cares? Yet another similarity that both levels share is having the same red and black color scheme, which is definitely unique and definitely has not been overdone and used by dozens of other extreme demons. Nope, definitely hasn't been done at all. And the last similarity that both levels share is that they both originate from the 2015 era or earlier. Now some of you may be asking, but Beckett, I thought you said that Tartarus was released in 2020 and was made in the 2.1 update. What do you mean it originated in 2015? Well, that requires some explaining. Back in the 1.6 update of the game, before Bloodbath had even been thought of being made yet, Riot still had the same goal of making a level harder than Ice Carbon Diablo X, and his first attempt at doing this was what caused the first version of Tartarus to be created. This level, at the time though, went under a different name, known as Silent Akbar, and regardless of how stupid you may think that level name is, that is what it was called. Looking at Silent Akbar, you can see a lot of similarities to Tartarus, and the level looks initially fine. So why did Riot abandon the project? Well, the level suffered from a slight dose of being almost impossible. You see these clicks? Each one is a frame perfect, meaning you only have a few thousandths of a second to make the timing, and if you are off by even the slightest margin, you were dead. This level is so much harder than anything beaten in the game now, and if it was completed, it would be the hardest level in the game by far. Currently, the furthest I could find anybody getting in this level was 36%, and you can see just how happy they were to even be able to reach this far into the level.
Yes! It's my record! Yeah!
The point is, this level in its original state never stood a chance of seeing the light of day, so Riot moved on to other things and dropped the project for many years until reviving it into the version that we know today. Silent Akbar shows not only how Bloodbath and Tartarus originated from the 2015 and earlier era of the game, but it also shows how that they were both created with the intention of surpassing the exact same level. Wow, that was a little over dramatic. So, what are my final thoughts? Well, it's that no matter what game you're playing, there is probably some history regarding the game or a piece of the game that is yet to be discovered, and with these come many interesting stories. So, no matter what game it is that you're playing, look around a bit. You may find something interesting that you had no idea existed or even thought was possible beforehand. You may also find some similarities between some levels or games that you never even thought existed. To finish the video off, I'm gonna let you guys look at the Venn diagram that I mentioned we'd come back to at the end of the video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Next time you see me, we'll most likely be in 2.2. Until then, stay safe, and have a good one.